Hi, welcome to Pure Yoga. If you could grab hold of a strap for this practice, so either a yogic strap if you have one, or a dressing gown belt, or just a normal belt or tie. Anything that hasn't got any flex in it, it needs to be nice and stable. So grab one of those. If you need to pause me to go and get one now, and some water. So if you need to stop at any time through the practice, you can do and take on some fluids. It's a very movable practice today, not lots of holding poses, very dynamic, very good for getting that body into better ranges of movement. We're going to start at the front of the mat, bringing our feet hip width apart, toes in front of the heels, and then just soften the knees slightly, just a very slight micro bend in those knees. Try and have a little lift of the lower belly and a slight tuck of the tailbone. Shoulder blades squeezing together and let the shoulders relax. Turn the palms forward, take a close of the eyes. And just take a moment in this space just to connect in with everything, noticing any tight spots, any injuries that you're looking after. Just being mindful of those as you move through the practice. When you've taken that mental scan of the body, start to bring the attention to the breath and just notice the breath as it enters and exits through either the nose or the mouth. Not trying to do one or the other at the moment. Just taking your natural automatic breath as it comes. Then start to breathe that breath a little deeper into the belly if you can. Letting that belly blow up like a balloon on the inhale, and let it squeeze back towards the spine on the exhale. Keep moving that belly up as it swells up as that air enters into that space, and then as you breathe out, draw it back. So it's the diaphragm that makes that belly blow up because the air pushes down onto the diaphragm, the lungs push into that space. And as you breathe out, it's the abdominals that draw the belly back. Take an opening of the eyes and just focus in front of you for a moment. Notice all the parts of the feet touching the floor. If you're happy to then bring that breath in and out through the nose, please do so, or use the mouth if you wish. On your next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms come together. On the breath out, bend the knees, fold from the hips, bring the hands down towards the floor, let the head hang. Breath in, raise those hands again back up towards the ceiling, straighten through the legs. Breath out, let the arms swan dive down as you bring that chest towards the thighs. Breath in, raise those hands up towards the ceiling again. Breath out, fold from the hips, bend slightly through those knees. Breath in, raise those hands again back up to the ceiling. This time on your out breath, let that body stay folded over those legs. Just take a couple of breaths here, relaxing over those thighs, straightening the legs as much as you need to, maybe just rocking the hips a little from side to side, sending the weight into one side of the foot, then into the other, and then bringing that a little more to stillness. As you breathe in, straighten the legs, straighten the back, bring the hands to the shins. Breath out, fold back over those thighs, bring the hands to the floor, let the head hang. Breath in, come up to that half fold again. Breath out, let that body fold back over those thighs. Two more. Breath in, lift up through the chest, straighten the back, straighten the legs. Breath out, fold back over, let the head hang. This time as you take a breath in, just hold it in that space, both legs straight, back nice and straight, having that L-shaped position of the torso to the legs. Holding it here just for one more breath. Then on your out breath, allow that body to fold over the legs. Step your right foot back to the back of the mat. Step your left foot back to meet the right. Hold it in plank just for a breath. And then on your out breath, drop down with the knees, untuck the toes, release the chest down to a hover. Then push into those hands, lift the chest away from the floor. Breath out to a hover. Push into those hands, lift the chest away from the floor. Two more, breath to a hover. Push into the hands, lift the chest away from the floor. This time as you take the body all the way to the mat with the toes untucked, Push into the hands and lift up the chest on your in-breath. Breath out, release that chest back to the floor. And again, push into those hands, lift up through the chest. Release that chest back to the floor. One more time, push into those hands and lift up that chest. Release that chest back to the floor, tuck under with the toes. Bring the chest back to the thighs and the seat to the feet. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. Holding it in down dog just for a couple of breaths, maybe paddling through the feet, maybe nodding and shaking of those heads. And then bringing those heels to stillness, encouraging them towards the mat. Your next breath in, your right leg lifts. On your out breath, bring the knee to the chest, step the right foot through. Bring the left to meet the right and let the body fold over those legs. Next breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling, palms comes together. Bring the hands to the chest, soft gaze just in front of you. Take a moment in standing. Then release the hands down by the sides of the body. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. Breath out, fold from the hips, maybe bend through the knees. Arms swan dive down. Breath in, raise the hands back up to the ceiling. Breath out and fold. Breath in, lift. Breath out and fold. Breath in, lift. Breath out and fold, this time staying over those thighs. Just let the head hang. Next breath in, half lift, hands to shins, straighten back, straighten legs. Breath out, fold over those thighs. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, fold over those thighs. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, fold over those thighs again. Breath in, half lift. This time, hold it in that space. Legs are straight, backs are straight. Easy breath in, long breaths out. Your next breath out you take, bring the hands back to the floor, step your left foot back, step your right foot back and hold it in plank position just for a breath. Then release those knees to the floor, untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows. On your out breath, bring yourself to a hover. On your in breath, push into those hands, lift the chest. Release to a hover, out breath. Push into the hands, lift up the chest. 2 more times, release to a hover. Push into those hands, lift up the chest. Release to a hover, then release to the floor. Push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips. Squeeze the heels back, maybe take a paddle through those feet. Maybe a little movement through those hips and a nod and shake of the head. Then bringing those heels to stillness. Your next breath in, your left leg lifts. Brings the knee to the chest, step the left foot through, step the right foot through. Allow the body to fold over the legs. Next breath in, raise those hands back up towards the ceiling, palms come together. Then bring the hands to the chest and have that focus just in front of you. Relax the shoulders, then relax the arms. Maybe just paddle through those feet a little. Just move through those hips, just roll through those shoulders. And then bringing yourself into a still position. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, swan dive down. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step the right foot back, step the left foot back. Release down to the floor, either drop in the knees or straight bodies. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring the chest back towards the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. Come forward into a hands and knees position, knees under the hips, tops of the feet flat, heel of the hands under the shoulders. Bring the shoulders over then the hips. Bring your right hand down to the right heel, reach up with your left hand. Then bring your left hand down to your left heel, reach up with the right hand. Bring both hands down to the hips, reach up with the arms. Fold forward from the hips, bringing the hands towards the floor. Scoop the body through and up, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. Come down onto your hands and knees, untuck the toes. Bring the shoulders over the hips. Bring your right hand to the right heel, reach up and back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach up and back with the right. Bring both hands down, shoulders over the hips, raise the hands to the ceiling. Reach forward with the hands, bring the chest to the thighs, scoop through with the body, hips stay high until you lift the shoulders and drop the hips. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Have a nod, have a shake of the head. Maybe a paddle through those feet. Then bringing those heels to stillness. Your next breath in, your right leg lifts. Bring the knee to the chest, step the right foot through. Step your left foot to meet the right, forward fold over the legs. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms come together at the top. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest. Have a focus in front of you just for a couple of breaths. Then release the hands, take a paddle through the feet. A little movement through those hips, movement through those shoulders. And then bringing yourself into a still position. Your next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. On your out breath, swan dive down, bring the hands to the floor. In breath, half lift. Out breath, plant the hands, step your left foot back, step your right foot back. And release to the floor, whatever variation you wish to go with, straight bodies or dropping the knees. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Have a paddle, nod and shake of the head. Then coming down onto the knees, untuck the toes, bring the shoulders over the hips. Right hand to the right heel, reach up and back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach up and back with the right. Then bring both hands down by the sides of the body. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. Breath out, reach forward with the hands, bring the hands to the floor. Scoop the body through, keeping the hips high. Then when you drop the hips, lift up the chest. Then release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Coming down back with the knees, untuck the toes. Lift the shoulders over the hips. Bring the right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach back with the right. Bring both shoulders over the hips, both hands by the sides. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling, then fold from the hips, bring the hands forward to the front of the mat. Scoop through with the chest, keeping the hips high, then when the hips dip, lift the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Nod, shake of the head, paddle of the feet. Then bringing those heels back to that still position. Your next breath in, your left leg lifts. Bring the knee to the chest. Step the foot in between the hands, step your right foot to meet the left. Let the body fold over those legs. Next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms come together at the top. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest and just take a moment here just to find that focus. Find that grounding through the feet. the relaxation through the shoulders and the length through the spine and the crown of the head. If you've got something in front of you, just step yourself back a few steps. Then on your in-breath, raise the hands up to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, fold from the hips, let that chest sink to those thighs. Take a hold of your strap or belt. Take your strap underneath your right foot and take a hold of that strap in your right hand. Start to curl back up through that spine, one vertebra at a time. And as you come up to standing, roll the shoulders back. Bring your weight into your left foot as you bring your right foot up as high as you can to hip height. Walking that right hand down that strap, left hand onto that left hip. On your in-breath, open that right leg out to the side. On your out-breath, bring it back to the centre. 4 more on this side. Open that leg out to the side. In-breath, back to the centre. Out-breath. 3 more. Open out to the side. And bring it back to the centre. 2 more. Out to the side. Keep that strap nice and tight. Back to the centre. Right foot out to the side, hips stay neutral to the front of the mat and back to the centre. Hold it in that space just for a breath. Keep pushing that right heel forward, let right toes back to the shins. Then slowly let that right leg come back to the mat. Step your left foot into the strap and your right foot out. Take the strap into your left hand. Your right hand onto your right hip as you raise that left leg up. And as you raise it up, maybe move that hand down the strap for some support. Left toes back to the shins, heels pushing away. In breath, open that left leg out to the side. Out breath, back to the centre. 4 more, out to the side. Focus on something in front of you, back to the centre. 3 more, hips stay forward, facing that short edge of the mat. Back to the centre. 2 more, open that leg out. Back to the centre. And 1 more, open the leg out, legs as straight as it can be. And back to the centre, hold it in that space just for a breath. Then let that foot come back down to the floor. Release the foot out of the strap. Release the strap to the floor. Come back up to standing. Maybe step forward a little to the front of the mat if you step back. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift, hands on shins. Breath out, release the hands, step the right foot back, step the left foot back. Release down to the floor, either dropping the knees or maybe even hovering. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Then choice to bring the chest back down or roll straight over those toes. Lifting up those hips, squeezing those heels back. Bring the knees to the floor, untuck the toes, shoulders over the hips. Bring your right hand to your right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel and reach back with the right hand. Both hands back down by the sides of the body, raise the arms to the ceiling. Then reach forward with the hands, bring the hands to the floor. Scoop the chest through, keep the hips high. As the chest starts to lift, lower the hips. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring those chests back towards those thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Have a little nod and shake of the head, a little movement through those hips. Coming down onto the knees, untuck the toes, bring the shoulders over the hips, right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel and reach back with the right. Shoulders back over the hips, hands by the centre of the body. Reach the hands up to the ceiling. Reach forward with the hands. Scoop the chest through, keep the hips high. As the hips start to lower, lift the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back towards the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Little paddle of those feet, nodding shakes of the head. And then bringing those heels to stillness. Your next breath in, your right leg lifts. Bring the knee to the chest and step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Walk the hands a little further over to the left. Widen the arms. We're taking gym push-ups now, so the elbows come out to the side. 5 push-ups in lizard pose. Breath out, lower the chest. Breath in and lift back up. Breath out, lower. Breath in, lift. 3 more. Breath out, lower. Breath in, lift. 2 more. Elbows go out rather than in. And lift. 1 more. Release down. And lift. Walk the hands back. Heel toe the right foot into the centre. Raise that right leg up towards the ceiling. Bring the knee to the chest. Step the right foot in between the hands. Left foot to meet the right. Allow that body to fold over the legs. Next breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling, palms come together. Breath out, bring the hands to the chest. Take a moment to focus, a moment to ground, a moment to breathe. Next breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step your left foot back, step your right foot back. Find your way to the floor or hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Choice to take the chest back to the thighs or roll straight over those toes. Lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Nodding and shaking of the head, paddling of the feet. Bring the knees to the floor, untuck the toes. Shoulders over the knees and the hips. Right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach back with the right. Shoulders back over the hips. Raise the arms to the ceiling. Fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Keep the hips high as you scoop the chest through. As the chest starts to lift, drop the hips. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Come back down onto the knees, untuck the toes. Shoulders over the hips. Right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach back with the right. Shoulders back over the hips. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Scoop the chest through, keep those hips high, then drop the hips and lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Take a paddle of the feet and a nod and shake of the head. Then bring those heels to stillness. Your left leg lifts. Bring the knee to the chest. Step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Walk the hands over to your right side of the mat. Bent elbows out to the side with push-ups in lizard. Breath out, release that chest towards the floor. Breath in, push into the hands, lift the chest. 4 more. Release on the out breath, lower. Lift on the in breath. Release on the out breath. Lift on the in breath. 2 more. And 1 more. Come back up, walk the hands back to the centre, heel toe the left foot back into the middle, plant the hands, raise the left leg to the ceiling, bring the knee to the chest, step the left foot through, right foot to meet the left, allow the body to fold. Next breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling, palms come together at the top. Bring the hands to the chest. Take a moment in standing. Maybe bringing those hands down by the sides of the body. And just take a few moments here. Maybe having a little movement through the neck if you need to. Just make it however you wish to move that head. And then bringing yourself into stillness. Next breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. On your out breath, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step your right foot back, your left foot back. Release down to the floor, either dropping the knees, straight bodies, or hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down and roll straight over those toes. Or chest back to thighs, lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. Coming down onto the knees and tucking the toes. Shoulders over the knees and the hips. Right hand to the right heel, stretch back with the left hand. Left hand to the left heel and stretch back with the right. Come back to the centre, reach both hands up. Send both hands to the front of the mat, seat towards the feet. Then scoop the body through, then lift up the chest. Release the chest back down. Tuck under with the toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So we're just doing that one round of half camel rather than doing two now as we're adding poses on. Breath in, raise that right leg. Breath out, bring that foot to the outside of the right hand. Walk the hands over to the left. 5 push-ups from lizard. Breath out, lower. Breath in, lift. 4 more, out, lower. Breath in, lift. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Walk those hands back to the centre. So coming onto the outside edge of your left foot, outside edge of your right foot, reach the right hand back. Then bring that right hand up and over, walk the hands along the left side of the mat, squat to your left knee, right leg stays straight. Walk the hands back to the front of the mat, come onto the toes of the back foot, and then drop onto the outside edge of the left foot, outside edge of the right foot, and drop the hip down. Bring that right hand back up and over, walk the hands down the left side of the mat, bend into your left knee and have the right knee straight, squat to the back of the mat. Walk the hands back forward, we'll do 1 more round. Onto the outside edge of your left foot, outside edge of your right foot, drop the left hip down. Bring that right hand back up and over, walk the hands to the back of the mat, squat into that left knee and have that right leg straight. This time as we walk back to the front of the mat, we stay in that lunge position just for a breath. Then raise that right leg up to the ceiling. Bring the knee to the chest. Step that foot in between the hands. Step the left foot to meet the right. Allow that body to fold. Next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms together. Breath out, bring the hands to the chest and just take a moment in focus and to get back the breath. Your next breath in, raise those hands to the ceiling. On your out breath, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. In breath, lift the chest, hands on shins, half lift. Release the hands to the floor, step your left foot back, your right foot back. Come down to the floor, your variation, maybe it's a hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Making your way back to down dog. Lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Coming down onto the knees and tucking the toes, shoulders over the hips, hips over the knees. Right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach back with the right. Both shoulders over the hips. Next breath in, raise the hands. Next breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Next breath in, scoop the body through, then lift up the chest. And then on your out breath, transitioning all the way back to your downward facing dog. Have a nod, shake the head, paddle of the feet. Bring the heels back into a still position. Then lifting your left leg up to the ceiling. Bring your left foot to the outside of the left hand. Back knee stays lifted, walk the hands to the right. 5 plank push-ups, release down and lift. 4 more. Keeping those hips nice and steady and square. 2 more, elbows go out rather than in. 1 more. And then walk those hands back to the centre. Come onto the outside edge of both feet and drop that right hip to the floor. Reach the left hand back. Left hand comes up and over, walk the hands down the right side of the mat. Bend into your right knee, left leg stays straight, squat to the back of the mat. Walk the hands back to the centre. And then come onto the outside edges of both feet, right hip drop, left hand comes behind. Left hand comes back over, walk the hands to the back of the mat, bending into the right knee, left leg straight, left toes up to the ceiling. Walk the hands back to the front. 1 more round, bend into that left knee, drop onto the outside edges, drop the right hip, left hand goes behind. Bring the left hand back up and over. Walk along that right side of the mat with the hands, bend into your right knee, left toes face up to the ceiling, left leg straight. Walk the hands back to the front of the mat. Find yourself in that lunge position, just for a breath. Then put the hands to the floor, raise that left leg to the ceiling, bring the knee back into the chest, step the left foot through, right foot to meet the left and allow that body to fold over the legs. Next breath in, raise the hands back up to the ceiling. Breath out, bring the hands to the chest. Take a moment in standing, or if you wish to take any water, take on some rehydration if you need to. So we're going to be working with that strap again. So if you want to grab the strap from the floor. So first of all, we're going to find tree legs. I'll face the camera for a moment. So I'll mirror image you here. Bring your weight into your right foot as your left knee lifts and turns out to the side, and find a place for that foot either on the lower shin or in towards that right thigh. Then take your hands as wide as the strap as you can take them to lift and lower the arms up and over the head. We'll do this 3 times. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, release them to the back of the body. Breath in, raise. Breath out and release. 2 more. Breath in, raise. Keep that focus on that balance. Breath out, release. Breath in and raise. Breath out and release. 1 more, both directions. Breath in, raise. Breath out, release. Keep the hips facing forward, knee turned out. Breath in, lift. Breath out and release. We'll take it straight to the opposite side. So bringing your left foot to the mat, bring your weight into your left foot. Bring a bend into your right knee, turn it out. Find a place for the right foot either on that lower shin or into the upper thigh, just not on the knee. Once you've found the legs, make that strap as long as you need to bring it up and over the head. Find your focus. Then your breath in, raise the hands up. Breath out, lower them back to the bum. Breath in and raise. Breath out and lower. We have 2 more to do both ways. Lift. So remember, those long limbs make a little bit more challenge of this standing pose. As you move the long limbs, it makes that body try and work a little harder with the muscles to find that equilibrium, to find that balance. One more breath in, lift. Breath out, release to the bum. Breath in and lift. Breath out, release back in front of you. Release that right foot to the floor. Take a paddle of the feet. A little movement through those hips. So we're going to be going and adding more onto those flows. So coming back to the front of the mat, feet hip width apart. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. Breath out, fold from the hips. Bring the hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift, straighten back, straighten legs. Breath out, release the hands, step your right foot back, step your left foot back. Release down to the floor, dropping the knees straight, bodies to the floor or hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under the toes or roll straight over those toes. Lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. Finding that downward facing dog space. Come down onto the knees and tuck the toes. Shoulders come over the hips. Right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel and reach back with the right. Come back to centre, raise the hands. Fold from the hips on the out breath, bring the hands to the floor. Scoop the body through, hips stay high, then hips lower and the chest lifts. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Chest comes back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Right leg lifts up to the ceiling. Bring that knee to the chest. Step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Bring the hands over to the left. 5 push-ups in lizard. Lower out breath. Lift in breath. 4 more. Keeping them hips nice and still. Just moving through that upper body. When you've done your 5, walk the hands back to centre. Come onto the outside edge of both feet, right arm up and over, dip the left hip. Right hand comes back over, walk the hands back towards that left foot to the back of the mat, squat to the left leg, right leg straight. Walk the hands back forward, turn the shoulders to the front, then to the side, drop the left hip, right hand goes back, outside edge of both feet. Bring the hands back up and over, walk them to the back of the mat, squat to the left, right leg straight. 1 more round, walking back to the front, sinking into that left hip, outside edge of both feet, right hand back, right hand up and over, walk the hands back to that left foot and squat to the left. This time walking the hands back forward towards the front of the mat, making sure that right foot is just toes off the mat. Step your left foot to meet at the front of the mat. And then we're going to go into a squat position, letting those hips come low. Hands to the chest. We're going up and down in squat, from squat to standing. Push into the feet, raise up, lift up through the hands, and come back to a squat. We're doing 3 more. Push into those feet, raise up with the hands. Come back to a squat. 2 more, raise up. Come back to that squat. 1 more, push into those feet, raise up. And come back to that squat. Hold it in squat for a couple of breaths. Use the elbows to push those knees out and try and keep grounded through the heels. Then release those hands to the floor, step your left foot back, reach your right leg up to the ceiling, bring the knee into the chest, gaze in between the hands, step the right foot through, the left foot through, let the body fold. Next breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms come together at the top, bring the hands to the chest. Take a moment here just to focus, restore that erratic breathing. Long breaths in, long breaths out. Next breath in, raise the hands. On your out breath, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. In breath, half lift. Out breath, plant the hands, step your left foot back, step your right foot back. Lower to the floor or hover. Drop the knees, straight bodies if you wish. Lift up through the chest. Then either bring the chest back down, then chest back to the thighs or rolling straight over those toes. Lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Coming down onto the knees, untucking the toes, shoulders over the hips. Right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel and reach back with the right. Come back to centre, raise the arms on the in-breath. Fold from the hips on the out-breath, bringing the hands to the front. Scoop the body through on the in-breath, drop the hips, raise the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. We pretty much know where we're going with that left foot. We raise it up to the ceiling. We bring that left foot to the outside edge of the left hand. Walk the hands over to the right side, back knee stays lifted. 5 plank push-ups here in that lizard position. 1 and 2. Elbows go out rather than in. 3, 4 and 5. Walk the hands back to the middle. Go onto the outside edge of both feet. Send your left hand back. Drop the right hip. Left hand comes back up and over. Walk around to the back foot. Bend into the right knee, straighten the left toes lift. Walk back to that left foot, hands either side, and then drop into the right hip outside edges of both feet. Left hand back. Bring the left hand back up over. Back to that right foot, bend into the right knee, left toes lift, straighten that left leg. 1 more round, walking back to that left foot. Drop onto the outside edges, drop the right hip, left hand behind. Reach up and over with the left hand back to that right foot. Bend the right knee, left toes lift. Walk the hands back towards that left foot this time. Make sure the left toes are slightly off the mat, heels slightly on. Step your right foot to the outside edge of that right mat and sink the hips low. Palms come together. So we're going into lift and lowering in squat. Push into the feet, raise the hands to the ceiling, straighten the legs. Release and lower. 3 more, raise and lower. 2 more, raise and lower. 1 more, raise and lower. This time let those elbows come to the inside of the knees to push those knees out. Just take a moment here in your squat. Then bringing both hands down to the floor, stepping your right foot back, lifting your left leg up to the ceiling, bringing the knee to the chest, stepping the left foot through, right foot to meet the left and allow that body to fold over the legs. Breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling. Breath out, bring those hands to the chest. If you're like me, you're getting really warm. I'm just going to take a little water break here before we take on our last flow. So same thing with those poses that we've already done, but at the end we're just going to add on something else into that yogic squat where it's the lift and opening of the arms. So bringing yourself to standing, calming the mind, the breath. Your next breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling, palms come together. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step back with your right, step back with your left. Lower to the floor, your variation or hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Taking it back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back or chest back to thighs. Bring the knees to the floor, untuck the toes, shoulders over the hips. Right hand to the right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel, reach back with the right. Shoulders come back central. Next breath in, arms lift. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Scoop the body through, chest stays low as the hips stay high. As the hips lower, chest lifts. Release that chest back to the floor, chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips. Squeeze those heels back. On your breath in, right leg lifts. Bring your right foot to the outside edge of the right hand. Walk the hands over to the left side. 5 push-ups here. Lower and lift. Lower, lift. 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Bring those hands back to the centre of the mat. Come onto the outside edge of both feet. Right arm reaches back, left hip dips. Right arm comes up and over, walk the hands down the left side of the mat, bend into the left knee, right leg straightens. Walk the hands back to the front, drop into that left hip outside edge of both foot, right hand back. Right hand up and over, walk back to that left foot, squat into the left knee, right leg straight. 1 more round. And drop that left hip down, right hand goes back. Take it back to that left leg 1 more time. Straighten that right leg. Walk the hands back to the front. Make sure that right heel's just slightly on the mat, toes slightly off. Step your left foot to the side. Drop the hips low, bring the hands to the chest. Up and down 4 times. Push into the heels, raise the arms, straighten through the legs. Breath out and lower. 3 more. Push in and lift. Breath out, lower. 2 more. Push in, lift. Breath out and lower. 1 more. Push into the feet, lift. Breath out and lower. Elbows to the inside of the knees. Bring your left hand to the floor, reach up to the ceiling with the right hand, twist the waist. Bring the right elbow to the right knee, right hand to the floor, and left hand lifts. 2 more on both sides. Left hand to the floor, right hand lifts, keep the knees nice and open. Right elbow to the right knee as the left hand lifts. 1 more, left hand down to the floor, right hand lifts. Right hand to the floor, right knee to the right elbow, and left hand lifts. Bring both hands down, bring the hands to the chest. Just take a moment here in yogic squat. Then bring the hands to the floor, step your left foot back. Raise that right leg up to the ceiling. Bring the knee to the chest. Step the right foot through, left foot through to meet the right. Allow the body to fold. Next breath in, raise the hands. Palms together at the top, bring the hands to the chest. Take a moment here before we do that last side. Release the hands down by the side of the body. Next breath in, hands lift. Breath out, fold from the hips. Hands to the floor. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step your left foot back. Step your right foot back, plank, release down, hover or to the floor, roll through, up, lift up the chest. Make your way back to down dog, either chest back to thighs or roll straight over those toes, lift up the hips. Knees come to the floor, toes and tuck, shoulders over the hips. Right hand to that right heel, reach back with the left. Left hand to the left heel and reach back with the right. Bring both hands down by the sides of the body, and your next breath in, raise them to the ceiling. Breath out, fold from the hips, bring the hands to the floor. Scoop the body through, up, lift the chest, drop the hips. Release the chest back down, tuck under the toes. Chest back to the thighs, push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. Have a nod, have a shake of the head. Last left side, breath in, left leg lifts. Then bring that knee to the chest and step your left foot to the outside of the mat. Bring your hands over to the right, 5 plank push-ups, push. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Walk the hands back to the centre. Come onto the outside edge of your right foot and your left foot. Left hand goes back, drop the right hip. Reach up and over, walk back to the right knee. Bend the knee, turn the left toes up. Walk back to the front. Come onto the outside edges of both foot. Left hand reaches back, right hip dips. Take it back to the back of the mat. Bend the right knee, left leg straight. Back to the front. Last little round of this. Left hand back, right hip dips. Left hand back up and over. Take it back to the back of the mat. So this time walking back with the hands, making sure the left toes are slightly off the mat, heels slightly on. Step your right foot to exactly the same kind of place as the left. Let the hips drop towards the floor. Lift and lower 4 times. Push into the feet, raise up with the hands. Bring it back to a squat. 3 more, lift. And back. Keep pushing into those palms to activate the arms. Lift and lower. 1 more, lift and lower. Staying in that low position. This time let your right hand come to the floor, reach up with your left, keep the knees out to the side. Then left hand to the floor, reach up with the right. 2 more both sides, right hand to the floor, reach up with the left. All the time keeping the knees open. Left hand to the floor, right hand lifts. 1 more both sides, right hand to the floor, left hand lifts. Left hand to the floor, right hand lifts. Bring both hands into a prayer position, stay in that low squat. Feeling that openness through those hips as you've worked them nice and hard in this dynamic flow. Then bring the hands to the floor. Step your right foot back. Lift your left leg to the ceiling. Bring that knee to the chest. Step your left foot through, your right foot through. Allow the body to fold. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. And breath out, bring the hands to the chest. Take a close of the eyes. Find that focus. Find that calming of the breath. The stilling of the movement of the body. The grounding through the feet. Easy breaths in. And long breaths out. Opening the eyes. Slowly make your way down onto the floor. Heels come to the front of the mat, toes back towards the shins. We're going to do some lowering and lifting from this position down to that space where you wish to collapse and back up again. Just to use a little core engagement. Arms out, shoulder height. Take a breath in. On your out breath, use the long limbs, core strength. Bring yourself to that space where you wish to collapse. In breath, lift. We're taking this 5 times. Out breath, lower. Keep those heels pushing into the floor. In breath, lift. 3 more times. Out breath, lower. In breath, lift. Out breath, lower. In breath, lift. 2 more. Out breath, lower. In breath, lift. This time on your out breath, lower and hold it in that space for the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release those shoulders to the mat. Bring those knees into you towards the chest. Just give those knees a squeeze. Maybe make a few circles in one direction. and make circles the other way. And then squeeze those knees back in towards you, into the chest. And then just let the feet come back to the floor. Let the knees stay together. Cactus the arms, heel toe the feet out to the edges of the mat. And keeping both shoulders grounded, let the knees come over to the left. And feel that stretch down that right hip flexor, having done all that work in squats, all that work in lizard pose. Just stretching out that right hip flexor, maybe squeezing the glutes on that right side to stretch a little more, push that hip a little further forward. Bring those knees back to center. Let those knees go over to your right, your gaze maybe to the left, both shoulders grounded. Squeeze that left bum cheek to push that left hip further forward, stretching maybe into the upper thighs a little. And then bring those knees back into center. Let them drop internally for a couple of breaths. Heel toe the feet into the middle. Let the knees drop out to the sides. Try and engage the core slightly, pushing that lower back into the floor. And then just let those fingertips come together at the top of the mat, still keeping the elbows down if you can, with a slight bend in the elbows, and then just release them back out. And again, bring those fingertips towards each other. Try and keep that core engagement. Those shoulders pushing into the floor. Try not to flare the ribs, and release back out. 2 more of those. Bring the fingertips together. Elbows are still bent. Elbows still on the floor. Shoulders still on the floor. Lower back still pushing into the mat, but those knees dropping out. Release out. And the last time, bring those fingertips together. Push the elbows in, the shoulders in, the lower back in. Knees dropping out. And release out. Reach up and above the head with both fingertips. Maybe arch into that lower back. Flare through those ribs. And then bring those hands back up and over. Bring them onto the hips. Bring both feet out to the length of the mat. Letting the feet drop out to the sides. Maybe push into the heels, lift at the bum, tuck that tailbone down. That lower back again pushing into the floor. Then give those hips a little rock from side to side. Just bringing the hand onto that belly. The right hand onto the belly, the left hand onto the space of the chest. And try and make those flowing breaths feel like waves. As the breath in, the belly lifts, the ribs lift, the upper chest lifts. And as you breathe out, the belly drops, ribs drop, and the upper chest drops. Follow that flow of the breath. Eyes closed. One more breath like this. And release the hands down by the side of the body. Let the jaw and forehead relax. The tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth and the lips gently part. And just take a moment here. Consolidate everything you've just done. Working hard with those shoulders in push-ups. Working hard through those hips, holding them in contraction and absolute flexion, internal and external rotation. Bodies being moved through all planes of movement. So your choice can be to stay here for a little longer if you wish and pause me now. Or if you're coming out with me, starting to wriggle those fingers, wriggle those toes. Maybe bring some rotation into those wrists and ankles. Maybe you want to take a full body stretch, stretching the hands up and over the head, stretching through the fingers, the toes, arching into that lap. Then bringing those hands back up and over, bringing the knees in towards you into the chest, maybe having a rock of that body from side to side. And after that rock, choice to rock over to one side or make your way up into a seated position, rolling up and down that spine a couple of times. Up to seated once, back down. Up to seated twice. And then making your way into a seat, crossing the legs or legs out in front or sitting on the knees. Bring the hands on top of the thighs, keeping the eyes closed, spine tall, but the head and jaw relaxed. Take a breath in, bring the hands up and over the head, palms come together at the top. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest, soft gaze to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, have peace in your words, have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.